Welcome back to Beer Fueled Fantasy Football. It is the first Friday episode of the year. I hope you guys are ready to get into full preseason action. We got a Hall of Fame for you guys. We got a bucket load of training camp news. And we got our bold predictions for you this year. 3 things we think are going to happen this season that we're going to place our bets on. How you guys doing? I hope you're ready for this episode. I am at Nick Sparts. Dan Thury across the table from me.
Hey, Thury BFF. What's up, guys?
And Christopher Hopper to my left.
At Hot BFF with 2 P's. How's it going?
As always, you can find us at BeerFueledFF on Twitter, Instagram, and Untapped if you want to get that can art and beer reviews from Hopper and Dan, respectively. For YouTube, if you want to catch us on video, you can find us at Beer Fueled Fantasy Football. Check out the old school shirt that I'm rocking. I don't see any other merch in there. Oh, Dan's got the hat on. Hey, you learned how to look finally.
I'm looking's hard, guys.
Wearing exactly what I wore to work.
We're kind of trying to run this one in here. It's tougher to do the schedule when we're going to 3 a week, but we'll make it work for you guys. But that's all I got for the social media shout out. I don't believe we're promoting anything else quite at the moment.
Not right now.
All right, well, check out some stuff we will be starting to drop here in the next couple weeks here. But let's hit the episode with first up with a beer preview. Beer Fuel. And I brought something back from Texas. Shout out Go NFFC. I got Axis IPA by Real Ale Brewing Company. First time they've been on the show. They're out of Blanco, Texas. And Axis IPA is a 7.1% citrus IPA. We'll give her a full review for you guys once we get through the news and the Hall of Fame game.
That was a cue.
News. And since this time of year where some people might be joining us for the first time, when I run through news, I always do it from starting by position and then from priority. So I always start quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, then any other position that we may have news on.
I never noticed that, actually.
Really? I don't even read the news half the time before you read it.
This is my first time here, folks.
I did this week, but...
All right. NBC Sports Philadelphia expects Carson Wentz with his knee ACL injury that he's recovering from to be held out for the entire preseason.
I'm not shocked at all.
Not surprised either. Just protect him. He's familiar with the offense. They didn't really change anything. So.
All right. He is still doing individual drills, has not been in team-based drills since July 28th. How much of a leash are you giving him before you start getting worried about week 1?
Let's go to week 2.5.
So in between the second and third preseason game?
Yeah, if there's not good news or
positive progression,
or at least things put out to ease your mind, then you start worrying about Nick Foles the first couple of weeks.
You would wish that he'd be out there for at least one series, probably in that third game. You just seeing him get hit once. I know that that gets mentioned a lot, but
ideally he doesn't get hit in one series.
I know. I'm just saying, you want to at least see him get some action. Plant that foot,
make a couple throws, move around the pocket.
Exactly.
Yeah,
well, it makes you wonder if there is a setback because he was moving around in OTAs and stuff in team drills. So,
yeah, they said they saw some just hesitation in his movement and that freaked him out. So, so I am a little concerned about this. I wasn't super high on Wentz to begin with because I was factoring a little bit of this risk in my ranking. Anyway.
We're all pretty lower on him
compared to other people. Yeah,
I think consensus.
Right. Sony Michel will undergo procedure on his knee after injuring it Wednesday's training camp practice. He's going to miss at least 10 days. It could be the entire preseason.
Yeah, I've heard that this could bleed over into the season, actually. So for me, you got a rookie coming in that needs reps, that needs to kind of prove himself in a crowded backfield, despite the pedigree that's there. And he's going to miss a lot of that. So I think this boosts Rex Burkhead early on, probably more than anybody, because they're the two similar types of back. James White, lesser so. I don't really see it helping him a whole lot. But
James White needs both an injury to Burkhead and Michelle for him to be really viable.
And probably Jeremy Hill.
I mean, like you saw from last year, if Michelle's supposed to play the Deion Lewis role, White was very productive before Lewis got brought on and really shown, and that's kind of... I know it's not the same.
He was startable. He was not very productive.
And Burkhead was hurt also.
Yeah, and Burkhead was injured.
And Gillislee was ineffective. So there was a lot more work there than
I do like Burkhead and White. Michelle may see some value late season if he can get caught up and caught on, but it's not, with the injuries, with the fumbles.
Don't draft him 4th round.
Yeah.
Do not.
No, his ADP's already slipped. I'm doing King of the Draft right now, which is 48 podcasters, writers doing a crazy kind of March Madness style
We don't know
league.
what your last 2 picks were.
Last 2 picks were Juju and Ingram.
So we went 3 receivers, 2 quarterbacks, and our first back is our suspended.
It's heavy wide receiver scoring, though. Okay. Very heavy wide receiver scoring.
No, I'm just wondering.
So, but I am starting to see him slip. He has not gone in that draft yet, and we're in the 7th round.
Yeah.
Chris Thompson does not expect to be fully recovered until November.
Kind of expected this from hearing him talking at NFFC. It's good news for Geis early on, though.
So it sounds like he didn't make any. I've heard people say he's not going to play till November. That's not what he's saying. He's saying he doesn't expect to be 100%, but he'll still be out there.
Yeah, this might be a thing where guys, if he gets hot early,
could just stranglehold the
he
job.
could just stranglehold everything.
All right, Dolphins signed running back Jeremy Langford.
It's an Adam Gase guy, is what that is.
And this does go along with some subpar training camp reports on Kalen Ballage so far.
Yeah, surprise. It's depth, though. I mean, it's still going to be Kenyon Drake, who has the talent to be a 3-down back. Frank Gore, who in his yesteryear had the talent to be a 3-down back. So you've got 2 guys that can kind of mismatch and, be capable of holding down every role you would need them to hold down. I didn't like Ballage. As a Bears fan, I know plenty about Jeremy Langford, and it's a guy that you can bring in front of Centereese Perry that is another Gase guy that are familiar with the offense, basically.
Yeah, I agree. It's depth, and it might push Ballage down to the running back 4 spot.
He's already there.
All right.
Behind Perry already.
Well, Perry's special teams, basically.
I don't pay any attention to
All right, now we have to talk a couple Browns receivers, so we do need some legal music for that.
I want to do it again. I didn't get the whole thing. We don't edit, just remember that.
If you don't get that, da-da, and it doesn't count.
Yeah.
All right, Browns 4th round wide receiver Antonio Callaway was cited for marijuana possession on Sunday morning, was also cited for driving on a suspended license. So I went through and looked, because I'd heard people talking about it. I wanted to know his entire legal history that he'd gone through. So this is in reverse order from now until his first citation.
It's in resume order.
Yes.
It's in resume order.
He failed a drug test at the NFL Combine, so he's in the program. Credit card fraud at the University of Florida, which involved him apparently taking school credit he got as part of his scholarship, using that to buy stuff, pawning it to gift cards and then reselling the gift cards, and then also stealing some credit cards. It was a whole weird thing I didn't quite understand.
Basically to put cash in his pocket.
Accused of sexual assault, where his defense to the issue was, I was high and I was so fucked up I had no interest in having sex with anyone.
At least he's honest.
Those were quotes. Those are quotes.
That is phenomenal. That is absolutely fantastic.
Ugh.
And then last one, and this is the first incident he got cited for, was cited for marijuana possession while the passenger in a vehicle in December of 2015 found with 7 grams on him.
So there's a direct quote from Antonio Callaway that I would like to read.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to go first round, but then I got high. I was going to start for the Browns, but then I got high. Now my career's fucked up, and I know why.
Why, man?
Because I got high.
Because I got high. Because I got high. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da.
So the explanation that came out in between us leaving the house and getting here is that apparently he had just had the car shipped up from Florida and hadn't had it in his possession for a while. So basically, as far as I can tell, is I have so much weed, I forgot where I left some of it.
I was so high, I forgot where I put it.
Oh, man.
Jesus.
This guy
So
hasn't even played once, and he's already on a good path right there.
And the timing on this is amazing, because right about the same time that this incident happened, the Bills traded a seventh round pick to take Corey Coleman off of the Browns' hands.
Jeff Janis truthers have life until they sign Des Bryant.
A 7th round in 2020, no less.
Yeah, so
For
nothing.
nothing.
That's worth absolutely nothing.
For nothing. So Coleman on the Bills, it's another guy that you throw in who has terrible peripherals, Zay Jones. He did produce, but man, I didn't realize how bad the peripherals were on him until I looked him up on Player Profiler and looked at his catch rate and all that jazz. He was not above 40th in anything either year.
No, he was not efficient. It was all volume.
And he hasn't played more than 10 games.
Now, look at some of the people throwing him the football. You might get a little bit of a pass there. Not sure it's any better in Buffalo, but...
No, it's not.
Probably worse.
So you just throw him onto the heap of wide receivers vying for targets behind Kelvin Benjamin and, LaShawn McCoy. And Charles Clay.
Charles Clay truthers.
So, Yeah, one of him or Zay Jones, both who look talented in college, should maybe emerge, but I'm not happy about it, either of them. Corey Coleman, I don't know if I can rank him negatively, but I'm going to.
He'll find a way.
I'll find a way, because those peripherals are trash.
All right. This is from last week. I apologize for a tweet I sent out about there being a broken collarbone issue here that was fake. Fake Twitter people can bite me. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports, Ian Rappaport reports that it sounds like Josh Doctson suffered an AC sprain and/or shoulder bruise in Wednesday's practice. It is not expected to be a major issue.
He was reading the note above of it, folks. It's another injury for a guy though that's oft injured. So that's what I take away from this is I don't want to invest in Josh Doctson because he's always hurt. It's Kevin White, Brashad Perryman syndrome, except Doctson at least has flashed a little bit when he's had the opportunity.
Yeah.
When he is healthy, he at least scores touchdowns.
Yeah. So
And all the news has been about Smith and Crowder.
Crowder.
That's been the massive news out of Redskins camp for at least the
I'm not sure I can raise him any higher. He's already pretty high.
Crowder, I can't. So
No, he's fine where he is.
All right. Patriots placed wide receiver Jordan Matthews on injured reserve and eventually waived him.
can we
Brought
just,
in Eric Decker.
Patriots wave wide receiver Malcolm Mitchell, and then they brought in Eric Decker.
Yes.
So they cleared out some of that depth, but you still have, Chris Hogan, Julian Edelman when he comes back, Philip Dorsett. Edelman, by the way, did you see some of the quotes from him?
That he's not 100%.
He's not 100%.
Wow.
He's not playing 100%. He's not where he should be, and he's suspended for 4 games, so that's not good. So you got Edelman, who's pretty much saying he's not himself.
So, and remind me of this. I don't believe he can actually even participate with the team for those 4 weeks, right?
No.
Yeah. So what condition he's going to be in week 5?
Yeah, exactly. Jordan Matthews got cut, who I like most as that replacement because he hurt himself.
So apparently it's Dorsett for some reason.
He's been out of the slot.
It's Philip Dorsett, Eric Decker, and Kenny Britt.
And Kenny Britt, the rumor is he's not even going to make the team.
Who the fuck's going to
So
start
who's gonna
outside
make
then?
the team?
Cordero Patterson is the rumor.
Yeah,
He's been.
No.
Oh my god! What the fuck happened?
Actually, Patterson's an interesting dart throw because he's a speed guy. We know Brady will use him.
Yeah, if he
he
can
might
get,
have some cook games.
if he
from
gets the
last
balls in
year.
his hands, he'll be useful.
That's phrasing. Also, that's going to be fantastic, though. That's a major upside dart throw play, by the way.
Do they
Cordero
have the worst
Patterson.
receiving core?
No.
Like
Miami
Miami and Dallas.
and Buffalo.
It's those 4.
Yeah.
And the only reason the Patriots get a pass is because of Brady and Gronk.
well, that's but I'm not taking Gronk into consideration.
Well, yeah.
I know I should, but I'm not.
Yeah, if you don't include Gronk, considering Edelman's on a 40-game suspension, that is probably the worst receiving core in the NFL.
Gronk just got bumped up. You can't bump him up above tight
can't
end
go in-
1.
yeah.
But he might have just widened that gap a bit.
He slid into the second round for me. Now he's the 24th overall player.
Yeah.
I don't want to take a tight end that early, but
I don't
I can't
either,
argue
but-
against it
No,
anymore.
How
it's
do
like
you-
a wide receiver.
How do you not when they're so void of wide? Braxton Berrios, ladies and gentlemen. There's another dart throw.
Who also apparently is not even running with the first team.
Well, yeah.
I'm not that shocked.
He was a late round draft pick, but
So I forget there was somebody who was running ahead
If
of
they
him. who
only
was
would
a
have kept
UDFA.
Austin Carr.
yeah. And no, I wish they had kept Austin Carr instead of kept throwing jettisoned him to New Orleans.
All right. We have to say rest in peace to a particular rule. Brandon LaFell has been cut by the Bengals.
This one's a sad one for us. It's not rest in peace to the Brandon LaFell rule. It will live on beyond him, but it won't apply to him anymore because he's not on a team.
Buffalo will prove that right.
Oh my God. Is Brandon LaFell going to go to the Patriots?
The rumor is Brandon LaFell is going to go to the Browns.
Why?
Yeah.
That is the current rumor that I saw.
Yeah.
Saints released wide receiver Brandon Coleman.
That was something they could afford to do with the signing of Meredith and the drafting of Traquan Smith. Brandon Coleman was a big ass red zone target, though.
That really got used.
That's about all he was good for.
Yeah, that's all he was
apparently he's a
good
good
for.
run blocker too.
Apparently touchdowns and stuff, but yeah, that's not shocking. Big old 6'5" guy.
Yep.
All right. Getting off the skill positions, Cardinal center A.Q. Shipley has been diagnosed with a torn ACL. Will miss the 2018 season.
This is sad because if you listen to Pat McAfee's podcast, you fall in love with A.Q. Shipley, but he's a sub-level replacement. A.Q. Shipley's a frequent guest.
Gotcha.
Okay.
He's he played at sub replacement level, so this might actually be an improvement.
So he was the best player on their offensive line last year, and he wasn't good.
No, he wasn't.
Rip Bradford?
That's why Bradford's getting hurt. Yeah. Rosen's going to run for
Someone
his life.
posted it on Twitter, and I laughed a little bit because it's true.
They do already have his replacement. It was the third-round rookie out of Michigan who was going to play center, and he was kind of the center of the future.
Okay.
But you hate seeing a rookie shoved in there if he's not winning the job and if it's by injury because who knows if he's ready.
That's going to be dumpster fire.
Yeah. Johnson, Fitzgerald, and burn the rest to the ground.
Yep.
Packers left tackle David
Bakhtiari
was carted off with an ankle injury at Saturday's scrimmage. He was PFF's number one left tackle in 2017.
Rip Rogers?
Don't put that evil on us.
We all own him. I own him in multiple leagues.
It might be, though, because that offensive line was not great. I mean, they need Bakhtiari there to protect him. So I'll await word on how bad it is.
Yeah, it is quote unquote just an ankle, but with big players that can be real tough to recover from.
Well, and especially with linemen when you have to plant and leverage so much.
So lots of him and Cobb, because Cobb is carted off with his ankle injury. Not carted off, but seen him walking with his.
Yeah, he had surgery on that though, so I don't know. He probably just aggravated.
I haven't
something.
gotten any report of how bad it was versus a carting off for an ankle issue on a number one left tackle. I thought was a little.
So I know this.
I mean, they're both notable.
I'm still waiting for more word on what the Cobb injury is.
Right.
Raiders waived kicker Giorgio Tavaccio, the Italian stallion himself.
Rest in peace, Italian stallion. Yeah, I'm not going to do it. He didn't do anything last year.
They brought in Mike Nugent as the kick.
Yeah, and then they have the rookie in camp also.
The UDFA out of Florida.
Eddie Pinero out of Florida. They brought in Nugent to push him. He's got a huge leg, but he's got some accuracy issues. So actually a battle to keep an eye on if your league is smart and still uses kickers.
Or if your league is dumb and still uses kickers.
Depends on your opinion.
All right, Hall of Fame game time.
What the hell happened? For the first one of the year?
First one of the year.
What the hell happened?
All right, get ready for 19 more weeks of that.
I approve.
Yeah. Well, I had to keep the TARDIS sound in there.
I was like, it was very
absolutely.
faint.
for you, Nick, so I had to put it in there.
All right, so we're going to talk about some of the key players in the Hall of Fame game. Ravens won 17-16 in a snoozer of a game for the most part.
Oh, my God, it was bad.
It was bad. I finished a 28-page paper during this game. So.
Quarterback play was lacking, to say the least. And starting off with the quarterbacks, the major one of note was Lamar Jackson saw 2 quarters of work. What'd you guys think?
So I'll go ahead and say it. Now, before I start this is not an indictment on Lamar Jackson's future. It's one game into his NFL career in Canton, Ohio, and we knew that we knew. I don't think everybody in the fantasy community knew because there are already people calling for him to start over Joe Flacco, but we knew that there were going to be growing pains, and there definitely are. And what I saw out of Lamar Jackson was he was inaccurate, to say the least, which was an issue in college. I was worried about that with his mechanics. He broke off a couple nice runs early, but once they figured out he was going to run, he couldn't break away. He didn't necessarily have the same breakaway speed at the NFL as he did in college. Shocker. Who would have thought that?
Yeah, he made a few nice moves to get some first downs, but he wasn't able to do the long 20-yard scampers he was in college.
You're not going to see that.
No, and he's not built like Cam Newton to be able to withstand those hits either. So, I mean, if he's going to make a living off of that, he's going to be injury prone.
Yeah, like for me, so I watched the condensed version before we recorded this episode, and for me it was they wanted to make it easy for him early on, give him, quick 1-second reads. If they're not there, he takes off.
He ran.
And he was also very hesitant later on in the game where you got to see him take a 5-second sack because he couldn't get rid of the football. He looked lost at times. His accuracy, as Hopper just mentioned, was not very good.
Yeah, he looked like he was losing his footwork at times.
You can tell he was nervous.
He threw a bad pick.
Yeah, the pick was
terrible
awful.
pick.
So
he was struggling to go through reads, and he was way too ready to run.
So he's a development project. So
yeah.
Hopefully this quiets some of the people that were insanely high on him, is at least as far as an immediate starter, which I didn't expect him to be. I don't think the Ravens did either. I think that they knew he was a development project, which is why they took him with the 5th-year option.
And why they brought in RG3.
Ton of athletic upside. Well, and Marty Morningwig, who's a guy that worked with Michael Vick in the past and can work with that type of quarterback. So they put the right people around him for him to succeed. And work ethic has never been in question with him, but if anything, this should just show you playing against four stringers, he didn't shine, how far he has to go.
Yeah, this wasn't like when Wilson or Prescott or somebody came out and just wowed us in preseason with that, oh, there's something here. This is, we'll probably check him in year 2 and see where he's at.
Mm-hmm.
All right, on the good side, though, for the Ravens, Hayden Hurst looked pretty good.
He did. He looked. He made a great adjustment on his touchdown reception. He got targeted a bunch by Jackson, which is what I like to see.
Because you'd expect those two to be hooking up for a while.
Exactly.
Well, maybe not. Hayden Hurst is 90, but
maybe he likes old men. Maybe Jackson likes old men. You never know.
Yikes. Yeah, no, you're right though. He was being targeted a lot. He looked good as a route runner. Okay as a blocker. I hate his fucking hair. Had to throw that one in there.
That's fair.
But that adjustment he made on that ball that Lamar Jackson threw behind him for the touchdown was nice. Granted, as Bears fan, that play shouldn't have happened. That illegal hit call was BS in the end zone. But it's a Hall of Fame game. I don't care. He made a great turnaround there to catch a pass that was behind him. He caught it and turned upfield all in one motion. It was an incredible play by him. He was running behind Max Williams, but I'm excited to see a little bit more of Hayden Hurst.
Yeah, he exceeded my expectations for the first game. I was like, we'll see how he does, and he definitely jumped off film as one of the better players that I saw on tape. And then for running backs, the only one really of note on the Ravens side was Gus Edwards, an undrafted free agent who came in who might be competing for the number 3 job if Dixon or Allen disappoint here.
He looked slow. There was one play he stood out and it was negative, and he looked extremely slow on a 3rd and 5 late in the fourth quarter. That's about it for me.
It was marginal. It was like pop rock flashes.
Yeah.
And then Ryan Nall didn't flash at all. As long as around running backs.
I was going to get to the Bears, but he was not good.
No, he was really slow to the line. There's only one player to talk about.
Then there was I wanted to say one note on Lasley. I was hoping to see more, but he did have one nice play.
Yeah.
Yep. One catch.
I want to see more out of him, though.
All right. On the Bears side, it was a lot of really bad quarterback play from Brayan Daniels. The one guy who did stand out, though, was Javon Wims.
Yeah, Javon Wims had a really nice high point over a defender, like going up, like textbook, just hands catch, strong hands on that one. He had another really nice grab where he made a decent catch, turned and ran upfield. And then he also caught a Matt Nagy pass down the sideline in training camp on a deep ball. Matt Nagy was throwing passes.
Okay.
But it's one way to impress your coach. But with what he showed, I think he's earned a longer look. And if he continues to do this in preseason, I think it might be more than a dynasty darling, especially with Kevin White on thin ice. I think that it might be worth a dynasty stash if he continues to do this in preseason. Yeah,
because he physically profiles as similarly in terms of size, at least, to Kevin White. Not quite as fast, but
not quite as fast, but he's really big bodied. He's got the size to play outside.
Oh yeah.
And he was a guy we highlighted back in our rookie deep dives when I think it was our wide receiver 3 episode, when we were like, we just can't see enough on tape here, but he has flashed a little bit at least.
Yeah, he showed good ball skills in this game.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to keep seeing that.
Yep, and just see him keep working on the routes. So unfortunately, a lot of the hype guys we were looking at, like Trubisky, Burton, Miller, were just not included in this game.
I have to wait until this week to see them.
If much at all.
You'll see him for one drive, but you'll see some of I think you'll see probably Miller and Cohen a little bit more than,
They'll play into the second quarter, I think.
They'll play into the second quarter versus like Burton, Trubisky, Robinson. You'll see Kevin White a decent amount, I would think.
And then I'd like to see a little bit more Shaheen, then mostly just use as a blocker.
Yeah, yes. No, I want to see more Shaheen, and then you'll get to see some Taylor Gabriel too.
All right, so we'll look forward to that. Check out Monday's episode here. We'll start to break down some of that film. We'll probably try to split it so it's not all on one episode and it's not just preseason stuff. We'll try to do probably a couple games every episode and just do some quick notes for you guys. But yeah, we're through all that already. It's time for a beer review.
Wow, we're moving. I don't remember where I put the drop. There it is.
Beer review.
So what'd you guys think of Axis IPA by Real Ale?
It's really good. It's got a nice sweetness on the nose. Definitely a tropical, like, juicy flavor up front. Then it finishes with probably a mild to moderate hop taste.
I'd give it moderate.
Yeah, moderate. It's It's definitely there on the back end there, but the nose is definitely sweet and fruity, and the back end's hoppy, and it's like a textbook, very, very above average to good IPA.
Yeah, it's and it's not like a lot of the IPAs we've had on recently where they tend to hide the hops a lot. This one's still this is still an IPA. We're not going to mess around with that. So very classic style, and it's of the two preferred, whether it's hop forward or hop back, I tend to prefer the hops on the back end, which this one definitely is.
Yeah.
We got a Dan review.
I mean,
That's okay. I know you're working on them. You dropped some good ones, so maybe on the Wednesday episode we'll have to give you a little bit more airtime on the Dan.
well, I mean, you just had it perfectly, so.
Yeah, so great being on here. It was good to bring some Texas beer home with us. Well, I'll have one more for you guys next week that we brought back from Texas. So yeah, time for some bold predictions.
I love the Call Your Shot episodes because I get to use this.
Wanna be a baller, shot caller, 20-inch blades on the Impala. Caller, get laid tonight.
Switch a roll tide, get sprayed tonight. I hit the highway, making money the flyway. And that's all we got.
And fade the music. All right, so we're not going to go quite as crazy as last year. I think we did 6 or 7 bold
We
predictions
did
each.
positive and negative. It was crazy.
We did way too much. I didn't even think about doing a negative bold
I
prediction.
didn't want.
I didn't want
either.
to. I wanted to keep it positive. This is a positive uplift.
Yeah.
Said.
Yes.
This is good bold prediction.
Rise up outside, unless you're Antonio Callaway.
Well, he is pretty high already.
Yeah,
so.
he doesn't need to get any higher. So we're going to go 3 each,
I'm
and we're
done.
going to go from least bold to most bold. And Dan Thury's got a breakout candidate for us here in his 4th season.
Yep, I've been preaching this pretty much all off season. This is Amari Cooper finishes as a top 5 wide receiver. A lot of this dates back to what Gruden has been able to produce from his wide receiver one in his offense for the first 11 seasons that he's coached. On his average numbers, or their average numbers, would have been wide receiver 9 last year in full point PPR leagues. He targets them like crazy, nearly double of that of his wide receiver 2. With the news of Bryant being an idiot, I don't see much else for competition outside of Jordy Nelson.
Is that news?
Right. So for me, it's not.
But Ryan Switzer.
But yeah, punt returner. So this isn't super bold, but for where he's being drafted in the 4th round, I think he could be paying off a lot of teams.
I mean, predicting him to be 2.5 rounds higher than his draft stock is decently bold.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why this is a less bold round.
Yep, I don't have any major issues with it. Only concern for me is just touchdowns, because he's going to need that to.
I think just based on how bad their defense is and the fact that Jordy's the only one who may be in competition for the res, maybe Jared Cook. Cooper could flash more.
I have
have more of a chance.
I have a different scare with it, and it's the drops. And if he does that, then I think that Jordy might see a little bit more work. He was a wide receiver 1, and people tend to forget that his downfall was not necessarily him so much as the lack of a viable quarterback. But that would be my other concern with him being as high as top 5.
Yeah.
I do think he's a wide receiver 1, though, probably.
No, it is an even year, so
To say
his drops were good in his 2nd year. Maybe they'll be good in his 4th.
Maybe. Not a big enough book to see that pattern yet. He's not Doug Martin.
Oh, where it's the
he's
every
the
3rd
Mike
year.
Evans. He's the Mike Evans of drop passes.
All right, Hopper.
I got a bounce back candidate. So it's not a breakout, it's a bounce back. And mine's on Pierre Garçon. I think that he bounces back, catching 80-plus balls for over 1,000 yards and finishing as a wide receiver 2 or better. That's not incredibly bold. It's like the mild coffee. It's like your sugary sweet coffee. But he saw 8.3 targets per game last year, which may actually stay about level. Jimmy Garoppolo averages 9.7 yards per attempt. Pierre Garçon, 9.8 yards per target. So that's a pretty good mesh up right there as far as depth of target. Whereas Goodwin's at 15.5. Garoppolo's a very accurate thrower, and Garçon's a very reliable receiver. He's had 1 drop over the last 2 seasons, and Jimmy Garoppolo ranks 6th in true completion. So if Garoppolo's putting it where he can catch it, which he's good at, Garçon's going to catch it. Goodwin, on the other hand, 6 drops, 83.1 quarterback rate when targeted, good for 60th. And did I mention 6 drops? So he's had 6 times the drops in a year than Garçon's had in the last 3.
All right. Any concerns about the drumbeat we've been hearing from training camp where Goodwin is playing as the 1?
Not necessarily know. I think that there's chemistry right now between Goodwin and Garoppolo, but I think that as Garcon starts to work with Garoppolo more, there's kind of a shift off of that. It's something I'm going to be paying close attention to in preseason. But yeah, as of right now, I don't see any reason that Garcon can't bounce back given the fit in this offense and with his quarterback.
So in my initial projections, I actually did match almost exactly what you just put out there. I had him at 88 catches for 1,009 yards.
That's about what I had.
Oh, you guys are cute.
All right. And then mine is my bold prediction is Keenan Allen finishes as a top 2 receiver this year.
He's been wide receiver 4, so I mean,
Well, I mean,
It's bold.
a lot of people might was like 5, 6, 7 range.
it's a good mild one.
But I have him in front of the only reason I didn't take 1 is because it's Brown. I don't think anybody beats him. But I got him at 2. So the reason I predicted this, 1, there's a massive amount of touchdowns that have to go around. It's not all going to go to Mike Williams and Tyrell Williams with tight ends there. And did you guys hear the rumor that Antonio Gates was talking with the Vikings today?
Huh.
He wants to try to get a ring.
He wants a ring. So they may not even have Gates there. Virgil Green is not a pass catcher, so he's going to see some additional touchdowns this year. The targets are going to be there. Second half of last season, once he kind of got in rhythm with Rivers, he was the number 2 overall receiver for the second half of the season. So I think he just picks up right where he left off and continues that in 2018, and he's my number 2 overall receiver.
Who's this for?
Keenan Allen.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
I
mean,
don't have a problem with that.
No,
Keenan Allen's
not
a
at all.
top 5 receiver for me. So
Yeah, it's my number 4.
All right. Now this one's pretty bold. Dan, justify yourself.
I wanted to be bold, and my love of Anthony Miller is shown through since our rookie wide receiver deep dive episodes. Hopper, maybe he agrees with it.
no, I do. I see a world where this can happen just because Allen Robinson's really put together one good season, and then he had a dud season because of the offense, and then tore his ACL. So he was brought in to be the one, but man, do they love Anthony Miller.
Okay, so here's the prediction. Miller finishes as Chicago's wide receiver 1, and he leads all rookie receivers in fantasy points. Now,
The second half wouldn't be too shocked at. The beating out Allen Robinson would surprise me.
it's got nothing to do with Allen Robinson's talent. He's very talented. He's built to help these younger quarterbacks. You saw it with Blake Bortles. He's a great possession receiver. He's a good outside receiver. But we've seen struggles from receivers when they've shifted teams, shifted offenses. It's almost a clean slate for him. Miller has been like it's almost every other day. There's a highlight video of him making plays. He looks amazing.
He owned Kyle Fuller, who's their number 1 cornerback and a good secondary.
And he owned Nakamura
Nakamura.
on a great veteran type of play where the ball was probably underthrown, but he stacked them and made a great over-the-shoulder catch. That's all you see from Miller. It's highlights, highlights, and highlights. And slot receivers have become more and more used, and they're good goal mine guys in fantasy football.
Yeah, especially the bigger type. So I'm excited to watch him play against a defense that isn't the Bears, even though I know how good the Bears secondary is. So Nakamura and Fuller were nothing to sneeze at last year. So owning them in practice is a really good sign.
Yep.
Because they're probably at least top half in the league as far as cornerbacks go.
Yeah. The leading our rookie wide receivers, that part I don't consider bold, but beating out Robinson, I definitely would consider a bold take.
That one's the opposite on that one a little bit. There's a lot of,
No, I don't see another. I mean, Gallup would probably be closest in year 1, given where everybody else landed.
Gallup or more if he can
Moore.
completely defeat
Funchess.
yeah.
And Olsen. Oh. Hey,
All right, I'm going to go ahead and take this because Hopper is getting called. My bold prediction is Kirk, and this is just based off, once again, going back to my projections here. Kirk Cousins leads the NFL in passing yards this year. I got him projected anywhere between 4,600 and 4,800 yards with the receiver weapons that the Minnesota Vikings have. Now, this does not make him my quarterback 1 because I don't see the touchdowns being there. Cousins has tended to struggle putting touchdowns when he's in the red zone. So the touchdowns won't be there compared to someone like Rodgers, Luck, Wilson. But in terms of yards, I think he leads the NFL.
I think you're right, and I don't know if it's super bold. I think he made not just because of how balanced the offense should be and how effective Cook was as a runner last year in those first 4 games, but I think the touchdowns could be there. You got Kyle Rudolph, you got Diggs who led the season in contested catch rate last year. Thielen is going to have a positive regression in his red zone opportunities. He was pretty bad last year with his chances. There's a lot of weapons for him, so even if Kurt doesn't lead the league in passing yards, there could be a lot of opportunity for scoring for him, which could propel him to even higher marks. I mean, he's my QB5 for a reason. There's a lot of upside with him. Great defense, balanced offense. You can't just stack, the tape against him because Cook could kill you.
So, I mean, I don't know if there's a ton of positive regression for Thielen when it comes to red zone work. He's got 10 touchdowns on 265 career targets.
Last year was, I know, but I'm saying just he found a little more production a couple of years ago with his targets. Last year was pretty bad. I think it took him a long time to find the end zone.
Last year was definitely worse than 2016 was, but he historically has not been a big touchdown scorer. So I'm not sure there's a ton of regression there for him. So that's why he's not my one, even though I think the yardage is going to be there. And he actually tends to rush for a few touchdowns too.
Yeah.
But he is my 7. But I do think I was just going through my projections. I'm like, I think Kirk Cousins leads the NFL in passing yards this year.
Good. Very well.
Do we skip Hopper and come back to him, or do we just read his? Probably just skip him.
Yeah, we can go back to his last 2 if he's not.
Right. If you're watching on YouTube, you do see an empty chair right here. Dan, what is your boldest prediction here?
So the goal from a breakout candidate in Cooper, a rookie sleeper breakout candidate in Miller, to a record-breaking performance from Zeke. My prediction, Zeke breaks NFL single-season rushing record, going for 2,200-plus yards. And on top of that, just for fun measures, 20-plus touchdowns. It's only happened once with Terrell Davis when he put up 21. I think he had like 2,050-something. Zeke would be the 8th running back to do it, to go for 2,000 yards. He'd be the 2nd running back to go for 2,000-plus, 20-plus. The reason I got to this point, it's fun to think that this could actually happen. I think the offense is built for this to happen. Zeke could see upwards to 400 carries. That's not outrageous at all. They drafted Connor Williams out of Texas in the 2nd round. They drafted the guy out of Stanford in the 4th round, Dalton Schultz, blocking tight end. They want to run the football. Dak is good enough to keep drives alive because he's smart with the football. Means a lot of red zone opportunities. As you saw from Dallas in 2014 and 16, they can protect a average to below average defense by controlling the clock and keeping the offense on the field, masking that, which means Zeke could still have a lot of opportunity. This offense is going to go through him. And I wanted to be bold with this because I could see this happening. I would not be that shocked.
All right. Well, I put down something, but that was before you wrote yours, so I'm going to slightly crank up the difficulty here.
Okay, that's fine.
It was actually pretty close to what I was projecting.
You projected him to go for over 2,000 rushing yards?
No.
Okay.
For mine.
Okay. Oh, for yours.
So I originally projected David Johnson at 23 touchdowns this season, and then I chopped 5 off because I'm like, that's ridiculous. And I'm like, well, for my bold prediction, I'm going to project what I'm projecting, but let's actually push it. He's going to go for 25-plus touchdowns this season.
So you want to change it to 25-plus?
Yes. So that is my bold prediction, which is why he's my running back 1, is his touchdown rate for his entire career has just been absurd. And there's really no other option to score touchdowns on this team. Fitz is not a primary red zone target. They're going to run the ball through a Johnson who's going to be used out of the backfield as a pass catcher. That's going to be the majority of the touchdowns on this team. I could see him scoring well over half of this team's touchdowns this year.
Yeah, it's just, can the team actually get to that many touchdowns? When you are the whole focal point of the team, when you have a bad offensive line, Johnson's going to have to get creative with how he gets into the end zone. And as we've seen from 2016, that's not an issue for him. 25 is a bold prediction for anybody. So.
No, that's why
this is the last one.
I bumped it.
I see 20 plus, and I'm like, yeah. I said Zeke will get 20.
Can we hit the rewind button?
Yep,
sure. Quick commentary on Cousins leading the NFL in passing yards.
I think it's very viable with the offense that he has. I love Kirk Cousins. I predicted him last year to be over 5,000 yards. He's definitely got the arm and the talent to do it. And now I think he has the weapons to do it. So I'm not off of that one at all. I love that.
All right, and then cranking up the difficulty. Zeke breaks the single-season rushing record with 2,200-plus yards and 20-plus rushing touchdowns.
So that I don't necessarily agree with.
Well, that's why
it's the most bold prediction. I just don't know that the Cowboys team as a whole is good enough for that to happen. He's the focal point of the offense, but I don't think the defense is going to take a step up, but I still don't think they're good enough to where they can keep necessarily running the ball. I think they're going to be forced into some throwing situations.
Yeah.
And Yeah, quite honestly, just the way that I expect Zeke to be used, I'd expect him to be more of an all-purpose monster.
He could.
I know
be
he's going to
too.
be a rushing monster, but I expect him to be more of an all-purpose monster than I think 2,200 rushing yards.
All right. And then I upped my game after I saw Dan's. David Johnson finishes with 25 plus rushing, or 25 plus touchdowns.
I love David Johnson, but I've definitely got him below that. I could have been a little more on board with the original one, which looked like it was 20.
Yeah, after I saw Dan's,
But
I upped the difficulty.
25 is excessively bold. And I think I've got him at 16 or 17. So, I'm more on board with Zeke than I am 25 touchdowns for David Johnson.
That's why it's
especially
bold.
with that offense.
All right. And then your last two.
Okay. So my first one was that Patrick Mahomes throws for over 4,500 yards and rushes for another 150 plus, finishing as a QB1. And look, you don't have a book on Patrick Mahomes. There's 3 reasons for this: the weapons, the arm talent, and the defense is terrible. They're gonna have to throw. They're gonna have to throw a decent amount, and he's got weapons all around him: Travis Kelce, Kareem Hunt, Sammy Watkins, Tyreek Hill, and he's got receivers that can take it to the house and chunk off some big plays. So I think that he's in a really good position to succeed, and we know he can create with his legs.
All right.
You got any concerns with the pretty poor training camp he's had so far?
No, he's adjusting. He's adjusting the offense. He's adjusting the receivers. We'll watch it in preseason, but Trubisky's having a crap training camp as well, and it's just these guys are really, getting kind of with Mahomes' first team reps for the first time with Trubisky. It's new offense, but
I agree with you.
I just think that there's going to be some growing pains, but at the same time, we see what people can do in garbage time with having to throw the ball a lot.
See Blake Bortles.
See Blake Bortles.
I'm going to start. I don't think the 150 is bold at all. I've actually got him close to 300 rushing yards because he ran a lot in college, and he's decently mobile.
Depends
He
if they
is.
want to use him that much.
No, but the overall finish and the yardage is more what makes it bold.
And then the passing yardage, I just don't see him getting quite that much because this is still going to be a team that focuses a lot on the running game with Kareem Hunt, and I just don't see him putting up quite that type of passing volume.
You running the ball down by 20 in the third quarter.
I was going to say they could try. It's going to
They're
really
gonna
depend on
try.
the defense. It's going to really depend on the defense and how well they show up early on. Because I think it's going to go run early to protect Mahomes, just in case if he struggles early on. And then you might see him get more amped up as the season goes on.
Oh, I think they'll try to run the football. I just don't think the defense is good enough for ground and bound to be a viable thing. It has nothing to do with Kareem Hunt and everything to do with the defense.
So I guess it'll depend how much Patrick Mahomes we see doing his best impression of 2015 garbage time Bortles we see.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
No, that's exactly it.
So I guess I'm predicting a little less than you are. And then your last one.
My last one, I can't not get through this episode without doing this. Royce Freeman rushes for over 1,000 yards, catches 40-plus passes, and finishes as the number 2 rookie running back.
So, I mean...
I would have went bolder and said 1.
He's not going to outdo. I'd be insane to say he's going to outdo Barkley, but I think Geis is bold enough, especially with the Chris Thompson news today, or saying he outdoes Geis. But yeah, TJ Anderson over 4.2 yards of efficiency in this offense. Denver targeted running backs 98 times, mostly to Jamal Charles and then Devontae Booker, I guess. Charles isn't there anymore. Keenum's deadly accurate in the short game. Jerick McKinnon was 75-plus completion percentage. Booker was below 4 yards a carry the last 2 seasons, 44th in juke rate, 64th in yards created. He had 1 breakaway run. So I don't see this being much of a competition. And he was one of 2 college players with 5,500-plus rush yards and 800-plus receiving yards in his career. Donnell Pumphrey's the other, but the difference is Pumphrey's 5'8", 176, and Freeman is 5'11", 229.
All right. I need 5 shots from everybody because that's, I think, the 5th time he's done that exact rant.
No, it is.
I won't say it's a rant.
But we have new listeners that probably haven't heard it before. So
If you haven't heard it before, go back and listen to Rookie Running Backs Part 1.
if you or any episode with AFC West preview, running back rankings,
Some of the guest comparisons you made.
Yeah, anytime I've talked about Royce Freeman.
Yes, I believe our spot on the GOAT District that came up.
Yeah. If you're new, though, there you go.
See, to me, there's 3 rookie running backs I want to own this year. Barkley, Geis, and Freeman.
Yep.
Because I think they all have the clearest path to an RB1. Obviously, Barkley, I think Geis is already there.
Yeah.
And Freeman's going to beat out Booker, Henderson, something named Lindsey, and something named something else.
I wouldn't mind Rojo to a lesser degree.
He's going too early right now, though.
He is.
Same with Michelle Penny and Rojo are all going too early. The one I might be interested, depending on how preseason
Chubb
goes, is Chubb or Johnson.
Johnson's going pretty high too. He's 6th round right now.
Yeah, they're all starting to climb too high, and
that's because of what we saw the last few years of rookie running backs. That's why I'm saying you can go Super Bowl, because I think Royce has a chance to finish as the number 1 rookie running back this year.
I think he's got a really clear path to it.
yeah, he does. Just the level of competition's not there for him.
Yeah, and you got a great defense and a decent enough offense that can produce.
All right. And then a bonus bold prediction for the show, and this is just kind of just a reminder to go back and check our last 2 episodes. Someone that we discussed as a kind of a lesser known name in our training camp battle episodes will be a league winner for many people out there. I saw somebody complaining on a Facebook group that I'm a part of. I think Hopper's in the same one, year-round fantasy.
Yeah.
Complaining about how people are always discussing, like, who do you take with the number 1 overall pick? And it's like, no, who you're taking later in your drafts has a bigger impact on whether you win or not than who you're taking in the first round.
Who's a 10-plus round guy?
Who's a 10-plus guy that you grab, stash, and win? Who's the guy that you turn off the waivers after week 3 after a critical injury? So that's why we focus more on a lot of this deep diving stuff a lot of the time, because that's a difference maker in your league if you're this tuned in that you're listening to podcasts.
Yeah, you can't control in the first round who you're going to pick. Your draft position is going to dictate that. We can argue the top 4 as much as you want. The fact is that 8 out of every 12 listeners to this podcast aren't going to have a top 4 pick. So
yeah, and unless you have the number 1 pick, you generally start losing options. So
yep. So I would rather talk about rounds 6 on, to where it gets less chalk and you start picking your guys and you start making your throws at people.
Yeah, that's where you really shape it to be your team, is kind of rounds 5, 6, 7 starts to get that way, and then after that it really is you're controlling it from then on out, because that's when it just becomes anybody could start coming off the board.
Yep.
So yeah, keep an eye on that. We'll keep deep diving stuff. That's why we're going to be going through all this preseason content. We want to try to help you with that. And just tell you what we see on film, what we're seeing from beat reporters, and kind of let you know some names to kind of help you win some leagues. Last year, we were hitting the table hard for Kamara last year. So if you listen to us, a couple of you may have won some leagues from that.
And
hopefully.
Forget about the Kenny Britt thing.
And the Isaiah Crowell.
By the time drafts rolled around, I was off the Kenny Britt thing.
Crowell was different.
But that was a show
coaching.
thing.
It had
True.
It had nothing to do with Crowell.
That was an industry thing.
And going back and looking at it, it was strictly a touchdown thing. He had 2.
Yeah.
If he'd gotten 6 touchdowns, it would have been like, it wasn't great, but it was Lamar Miller.
If they hadn't just gone away from him inexplicably a lot, it would have been even better.
Yeah, and if Kaiser hadn't vultured him a ton.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll have hits and misses, but that's why we're going into this deep stuff, because that's where you can get difference makers for cheap that everybody can grab versus a first round guy where draft position is going to dictate everything.
Names or guys you can get in the 13th, 14th round that you need to be keeping your eye on. And
by the way, there's been some positive Chris Godwin.
I was gonna say, there's so many positive Chris Godwin drum beats.
There was just a sleeper notification while I was in the other room on Albert Wilson drum beats also.
And there we go. Parker's not having a good one, and Wilson is. So
he's going to be used all over the field, including at running back.
They really don't. I'm softening on Drake because of this. Like all the Gore news, they're bringing Langford. I mean,
Langford doesn't have anything to do with Drake. Langford has to do with Balaj.
All right. So anything else want to add to bold predictions before we call this a Friday?
No, except that I wish it was really Friday.
I do wish it was really Friday, but for our listeners, it is at least.
Yeah, it's actually Tuesday here.
Yeah, so any news drops Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday morning, that's why.
Greetings from the past.
Yes. Hopefully it's good there in the future. Hopefully the world hasn't ended or something.
Right.
Oh my God.
Right. Well, thank you so much for listening, guys. As always, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Untapped at Beerfield FF. You can watch us on YouTube at Beerfield Fantasy Football, and also follow us there on Facebook as well, individually. I'm Nick Sparts. We got Dan Thury across the table from me.
At 3BFF.
Chris Hopper to my left.
At Hot BFF with TPs.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back with more preseason coverage next time on Beerfield Fantasy Football.
See ya.